Hello everyone, this is Sam from Language Atlas, and in this video I would like to show you the Korean B2 vocabulary Anki deck. In this video we will go over three things. First, I would like to show you the course structure of the Korean B2 vocabulary Anki deck. Second, I'd like to show you the course content. And third, I would like to show you some brief system and editing options. Now, as you can tell, I have the Korean B2 vocabulary Anki deck right over here. Now, normally you would double click on an Anki deck to open it, but I've already done so, as you can see right over here. So let's get started with my first point, which is to show you the course structure. Now, within the overall Korean B2 vocabulary Anki deck, you can see that there are 6 chapters, beginning with chapter 1, pronouns, and then going to chapter 2, verbs, chapter 3, nouns and adjectival nouns, chapter 4, adjectives, chapter 5, adverbs, and chapter 6, determiners and endings. Now, if I go to chapter 3, nouns and adjectival nouns, you can see that in front of it there's a little plus icon. If I click on it, you can see that there are subdecks, 19 to be precise. Now, what I've done is that I've categorized all nouns by theme, ranging from academia and intellect, animals, all the way to time, maths and numbers, and transportation. Now, the reason that I've done so is that this categorization allows you to study nouns by theme. So if you wish to learn more about body and health, you can do so. If you wish to learn more about clothing and fashion, you can do so. Or if you wish to learn more about society and economy, you can do so. So whenever you wish to learn a certain theme or wish to learn more about a certain theme, this categorization will help you because you're able to do so. Now, that was my first point, which was to show the course structure. Now I'd like to go to my second point, which is to show the course content. And I'll do so by having a look at 3 Anki decks within the overall Korean B2 vocabulary Anki deck. I will have a look at chapter 3, nouns and adjectival nouns. And to be a bit more precise, I will have a look at home. I will then have a look at chapter 4, adjectives. And finally, chapter 2, verbs. Now, before I do that, there's one note that I would like to share. Now, this chapter over here, chapter 3, this chapter is called nouns and adjectival nouns because Korean has some noun-like words that are descriptive. In English, they may feel like adjectives, but in Korean, they behave more like noun-based words. Now, having said that, I'll get started with my first deck, which is chapter 3, nouns and adjectival nouns, and I'll go to home, and then I'm going to click on study now. So this is the first card type. We see that there is there's a Korean sentence with a blank area, and you have to know what goes inside this blank area. Underneath the Korean sentence, we have an English translation sentence. Mom wipes the kitchen counter clean with a wet cloth. And you see that counter is bolded and underlined. So that means you have to know what the word counter is in Korean. Underneath that, we have a visual representation of the Korean sentence and the words we're looking for. And many studies have shown that if you have such a visual representation, it is much easier for you to memorize and understand the Korean word that you're learning. So, Korean sentence, there's a blank area over here. You have to know what goes inside the blank area. English translation sentence, in this case, counter is bolded and underlined. So we have to know what counter is in Korean. And we have an image or visual representation. And many studies have shown that if you have such a visual representation, it is much easier for you to memorize and understand the words and sentence that you're learning. Now, before I show you the answer, there's one thing that I'd like to say. The sentences in this deck are generally written in natural, learner-friendly Korean. And many of them use the polite form, sometimes called heoche. So, what is counter in Korean?
엄마가 젖은 행주로 부엌 조리대를 깨끗이 닦아요. 조리대.
Great. So, there are 3 areas. First, we have a sentence area. After that, the second area is a word area. And the third area is a nice little bonus. This is the hanja area. So I'll get started by showing you the sentence area. Over here, we have the correct answer sentence with the correct word bolded and in the color indigo. Now, does the color indigo have a special meaning? No, none whatsoever. The only reason that it is in indigo is so that you can see the correct answer immediately in the answer sentence. So this serves as a nice little visual aid, a visual cue, so that you can immediately spot the correct answer. So, correct answer sentence, correct word, especially, and it's bolded in indigo, and it is shown in indigo and bolded, so you can immediately spot it. Underneath that, we have an IPA notation of the Korean sentence, and this IPA notation is here for you to improve your pronunciation. Now, it's not obligatory, but I do know that many people like to use it, and you can read along, you can really fine-tune your pronunciation with the IPA notation. But of course, you can also rely on the Korean sentence or the audio if you wish to do so. Underneath that, we have the English translation sentence, and finally audio.
엄마가 젖은 행주로 부엌 조리대를 깨끗이 닦아요.
So that was the first area, the sentence area. Now I'd like to go to the second area, which is the word area. Over here, we have the correct word, and again, we saw it over here as well. So we have the correct word in Korean. Underneath the correct word in Korean, we have the IPA notation, and again, this helps for pronunciation. Underneath that, we have the English translation, counter. And finally, we have audio.
조리대.
Great. There's one thing I like to note about this area. Now, this is the base form or dictionary form of the word. This is the form you would normally look up in the dictionary. So for counter, this is the word that you would find in Korean. And over here, we have a nice little bonus area. This is the hanja. Now, some Korean words may also show hanja. Hanja are Chinese characters connected to some Korean words. You don't need to memorize the hanja to use the deck, but they can help you recognize connection between Korean words. So I do recommend having a look at them, and over time you'll be able to see patterns, you'll be able to see connections, and this will greatly improve your understanding of the Korean language. So let's continue. The students opened their notebooks on the desks. How do you say notebooks?
학생들이 책상 위에 공책을 폈어요. 공책.
Great. So we have a sentence area, we have the word area, we have hanja. Let's do another one. Please place the bag on the scales. How do you say scales?
저울 위에 가방을 올려주세요. 저울.
Great. Let's do another one. My father attaches a sturdy hook to the wall. How do you say hook?
아버지가 튼튼한 갈고리를 벽에 달아요. 갈고리.
Great. Sentence, word. Let's do another one. Now that it's autumn, I took out a thick blanket. How do you say blanket in Korean?
가을이 되어서 두꺼운 이불을 꺼냈어요. 이불.
Great. You need a ladder when changing the light bulb. How do you say ladder?
전구를 갈 때 사다리가 필요해요. 사다리.
The pen has run out of ink. How do you say ink in Korean?
펜에 잉크가 다 떨어졌어요. 잉크.
Great. So we have the sentence area over here. We have the word area over here. The instruction manual for the assembly kit is difficult to understand. How do you say kit?
조립 키트 설명서가 이해하기 어려워요. 키트.
Great. So let's do one more. Hold the rail when going up the stairs. How do you say rail?
계단을 오를 때는 난간을 잡아요. 난간.
Great. So let's do a small recap. We have the sentence area over here with the correct word bold and in the color indigo so that you can immediately spot the correct answer. We have over here the IPA notation. And this IPA notation will really help you when it comes to your pronunciation of Korean and the Korean sentence. We have the English translation sentence and we have audio.
계단을 오를 때는 난간을 잡아요.
Great. Over here we have the words. So we have the correct words in Korean. We have the IPA notation and we have the English translation and finally audio.
난간.
Finally, we have the hanja over here. So I think you get the setup, and of course the word is the same over here as over here. So I think you get the setup. I can do another one, but you get the picture. Chapter 3, nouns and adjectival nouns done. Let's have a look at chapter 4, adjectives. So we see a similar setup. We see that there's an English sentence. We see that there's a blank area right over here, and it's your job to know what goes inside the blank area. Underneath that, you see an English translation of the Korean sentence. The flavor of this tea is very balanced, and you have to know what balanced is in Korean, and that is what goes over here. And balance is bold and underlined. and you see a visual representation of the Korean sentence and the word that we're looking for. So this will help you when it comes to really understanding and memorizing the Korean word. So, balanced in Korean. Let's have a look.
이 차는 맛이 아주 조화로워요. 조화로워요. 조화로운. 조화롭다.
Great. So, I'd like to get started with the first area, which is the sentence area. Now, we've seen this before. Answer sentence in Korean with the word that we're looking for, bold and the color indigo. IP notation, and this helps with pronunciation. English translation of the Korean sentence and audio.
이 차는 맛이 아주 조화로워요.
But over here, we see something interesting. We see that there are two areas for the word balanced. Well, why is this the case? Well, this adjective card is a good moment to explain an important Korean idea, the difference between the polite form, which is what you see over here, and the dictionary form, which is what you see over here. Now, earlier with nouns, the dictionary form was simple. It was just the noun by itself. This is because nouns do not really have polite forms. In Korean, politeness is usually shown through sentence endings, especially on verbs and adjectives. Now, the noun itself normally stays the same. So a sentence with a noun can be polite, but the noun itself is just shown in its base form. However, and this is the important difference, with adjectives, this is different. Korean adjectives change form when they are used in sentences. So on the back of the card over here, you see the polite form, and the polite form is used in sentences. So this over here and this over here is a polite form. So the polite form is used in sentences. But the dictionary form or the base form is just simply the form that you use to look up the word in the dictionary. So I'd like to select a little bit more about the polite form, which is this one. Now, many polite forms end in yo. They have a yo ending, as you can see right over here and over here. Let's have a listen.
조화로워요.
And of course, you can see it right over here. This is a polite form, and you see the ending over here. Now, this is the polite form, and the polite form is an ideal starting form to learn because it's respectful without sounding overly formal. You can use it in many everyday situations with people you do not know well, in shops and restaurants, with teachers, with staff, and also with people you know when you want to sound polite or respectful. Now that was the polite form. Now I would like to go to the dictionary form, which you can see over here. Now the dictionary form is the base form of the word. It's the form you would usually look up in a dictionary. Now for Korean adjectives and verbs, the dictionary form often ends with a da sound, as you can see right over here and over here. Let's have a listen.
조화롭다.
Great. So one more time, we see here two different versions of the same adjectives. They're not different words, but two different versions of the same word. The polite form is what you would use in sentences, which you can see over here. This is the polite form. You can see over here it's in a sentence. And the dictionary form or the base form is simply the version of the adjective that you use to look up in the dictionary. Now, there's one form that I haven't really touched upon, which is this one. Now, this is also the same adjective, but this is the form of the adjective that is used before the noun. So if you want to use for balance, you would say a balanced teacher, or we would say a balanced cafe. So the moment you place a adjective right before the noun, this is the form that you would use. And I included this Korean form because Korean adjectives often have a different form when they are placed before a noun. So let's do another card. The players showed sportsmanlike behavior. And note that this time that the adjective is right in front of the noun. So what does this mean? Let's have a look.
선수들이 스포츠맨다운 태도를 보여줬어요. 스포츠맨다워요. 스포츠맨다운. 스포츠맨답다.
Great. So as we mentioned before, we have the sentence area. We have the polite form right over here. We have the dictionary form right over here. And I mentioned before that this form is essentially what you would use if the adjective is right in front of the noun. And let's have a look. You can see that this is the same. That is because this is an adjective, sportsmanlike, and it's right in front of the noun. So knowing the second form really is important as well. So let's have a look at a different card. Lunch menus range from noodles to rice. Range.
점심 메뉴는 국수부터 밥까지 다양해요. 다양해요. 다양한, 다양하다.
Great. Sentence area. We have the polite form over here, as I mentioned before. We have the dictionary form. And this is, of course, the form of the adjective if the adjective is placed right in front of the noun. The flu symptoms are severe these days. How do you say severe?
요즘 독감 증상이 심해요. 심해요. 심한, 심하다.
Great. Let's do another one. My younger sibling's memory is really outstanding. How do you say outstanding?
제 동생은 기억력이 정말 뛰어나요. 뛰어나요. 뛰어난, 뛰어나다.
Wonderful. Let's do another one. The puppy is really cute. And in this case, it really is cute. How do you say cute?
강아지가 정말 귀여워요. 귀여워요. 귀여운, 귀엽다.
So let's do one final recap for adjectives. We see the sentence area over here, which is the first one. Correct Korean sentence with the word that we're looking for. We see the IP notation, and this helps with pronunciation. We see the English translation sentence, and we see the audio.
강아지가 정말 귀여워요.
Great. We see the polite form, and of course the polite form for adjectives can be seen here as well. Note the ending. Note the yo ending. And let's have a listen to that.
귀여워요.
We have underneath the polite form, we have the dictionary form. And please note the da ending.
귀엽다.
Great. And I mentioned before, if the adjective is right in front of the noun, this is the version that we would use. And of course, as always, we have the IP notation, English translation, and audio.
귀여워요. 귀여운.
And finally, over here, of course, we have the IP notation and English translation. And finally, audio.
귀엽다.
Great. So that is what I wanted to show you for adjectives. I could continue, but I think you get the picture. Now I would like to go to verbs, and I'm going to click on Study Now. So this is the first card type. We already know this. We see that there is a Korean sentence with a blank area. And it is your job to know what goes inside of this blank area. Underneath that, we have a English translation sentence with a word bolded and underlined. So the sentence is smartphones integrate various functions into one. And integrate is bolded and underlined. So we have to know what integrate is in Korean. And finally, we have a visual representation of the sentence and the word that we're looking for. We have an image. What is integrate?
스마트폰은 여러 가지 기능을 하나로 통합해요. 통합해요. 통합하다.
Great. So similar setup. Sentence area. Then we have the polite area. We have the dictionary area. And we have the hanja. Now again, I would like to note just one more time. We have the polite form over here. And notice the yo ending.
통합해요.
And you can see the sentence uses the polite form as well. Notice the yo ending. And over here we have the dictionary area with the dictionary form. And this is the base form. And this is the form that you would use to look up in the dictionary, that you would use to look up the word in the dictionary. And notice the da ending.
통합하다.
Great. And we have the hanja as well. So let's continue. The museum exhibits famous paintings. Exhibits.
박물관에서 유명한 그림을 전시해요. 전시해요. 전시하다.
Small rewards motivate me. How do you say motivate?
작은 보상은 저에게 동기를 부여해요. 동기를 부여해요. 동기를 부여하다.
The new employee adapts quickly to the company. How do you say adapts?
신입사원이 회사에 빨리 적응해요. 적응해요. 적응하다.
What time does the train depart?
기차는 몇 시에 출발해요? 출발해요. 출발하다.
So sentence, polite dictionary. Great music inspires me.
좋은 음악은 저에게 영감을 줘요. 영감을 줘요. 영감을 주다.
Let's do one more. Sisters rely on each other. How do you say rely?
자매들은 서로에게 의지해요. 의지해요. 의지하다.
Great. So one final recap for verbs. We have the sentence area with the correct word bolded and in the color indigo. The sentence in the polite form. We have the IPA notation, which helps with pronunciation. We have the English translation sentence, and we have audio.
자매들은 서로에게 의지해요.
Great. And then the area after that is the polite area. So this is the word in the polite form, IPA notation, English translation, and audio.
의지해요.
Notice the yo ending. Sorry, over here the yo and audio.
의지해요.
We have the dictionary form. We have the IPA notation, English translation, and notice the da ending.
의지하다.
And finally, we have the hanja. So that is what I wanted to show you for the course structure. Now I'd like to go to my third point, which is to show you some brief system and editing options. Now, you may have noticed that all of the exercises we have done so far were fill in the blank exercises. You see a sentence with a blank area, and you have to know what goes inside of that blank area. For those that want to practice their spelling, there's an optional typing exercise. This is disabled by default, but I will show you how to enable it. So we'll go to Browse, and then you can see I have the Korean B2 vocabulary deck right over here. And if I scroll down, you can see that there's an Enable Typing Practice field over here, and it is empty. Now, if I want to enable the extra typing exercise, all I have to do is enter the word yes over here. However, doing this one by one for all these cards will take a very long time, so I'll show you a faster way. Click on any card, it doesn't matter which one. Control A or Command A, right mouse click, Notes, and we will go to Find and Replace. A pop-up opens and it says Find. And for Find, we want to have nothing because currently the field is empty. And we want to replace this with the word yes. And where do we want to do this? We want to do this in the Enable Typing Practice field. So find the empty area, replace it with the word yes, and in Enable Typing Practice. Click on OK, and you can see that the notes or the sentences have updated. And if I scroll down now, you see that there's a yes over here. So let's have a look. What does the second typing exercise look like? I'll click on the home again, and then I'll click on Study Now. So this is a card that we've already seen before. Mom wipes the kitchen counter clean with a wet cloth, where before we simply had to know what the Korean word for counter is. Now we actually have to spell it. We have to type the word. So the second card type really tests whether you can spell the word correctly. Now what happens if I spell the word correctly? Let's have a look.
엄마가 젖은 행주로 부엌 조리대를 깨끗이 닦아요. 조리대.
Great. So you can see that if I answer the word correctly, Anki shows it to me in the color green. So this is a great feature of Anki, so because you immediately get feedback, you immediately know if the answer you entered was correct or not. So this is a really useful feature for those that want to practice their spelling or want to practice their typing. However, what happens if I do not know the correct answer? Let's have a look. We have over here a sentence that we've already seen before. The students opened their notebooks on the desks, and we have to know what notebooks is in Korean. So I will enter with an incorrect answer, and let's have a look what happens.
학생들이 책상 위에 공책을 폈어요. 공책.
Great. So as you can tell, my answer was only partially correct. The first half is what I did well, and this is what shows up in green. But the last half, this is where I made a mistake. And Anki shows it to you in red. So I made a mistake, and Anki shows it to you in red. Underneath, you have the correct answer. So this is what I already did well. It shows up in green. But this is what I should have had. This is the correct answer, and it shows up in the color gray. So Anki really shows you whether or not you made a mistake or not, whether it was correct. And this feature is hugely helpful to those that want to practice their spelling or practice their typing. Now, let's say that for some reason you regret your choice and you want to go back to the first card type, which was the simple fill in the blank one, so you didn't have to type. How would you do that? So you go to Browse, you will click on the Korean B2 vocabulary Anki deck. Click on any card, it doesn't matter which one. And over here you can see I have the word yes. Now I want to get rid of all of these yeses, but doing this one by one will take a very long time. So how do you do that in a faster way? Click on any card, it doesn't matter which one. Control A or Command A, right mouse click. We will go to Notes, we will go to Find and Replace. And we want to find the word yes. We want to replace it with nothing because it has to be empty. And we do this for the field Enable Typing Practice. So find yes, replace with nothing, an empty area, and in Enable Typing Practice. So we did it, and I can check any one, and you see Enable Typing Practice is empty. Now, this means that we have a lot of empty cards, so we want to get rid of them. So I clicked on Decks, Tools, Empty Cards. A pop-up opens, and you can see I have all of these empty cards, the optional typing practice, and I'm going to get rid of them. Delete. Great. So now we only have the first card type. Now there's one more thing that I wanted to show you. Many people ask me, Sam, how do you regulate the amount of cards that you see every day? And what are the best settings to use in Anki? Well, this is what I'd like to show you now. Next to the Korean B2 vocabulary Anki deck, you see a little icon. If I click on that and then on Options, a pop-up opens. And the pop-up says Daily Limits over here. You can see new cards per day and maximum reviews per day. Now the new cards per day regulates how many new cards you see every day. In this case for me it's 15. And if I want, I can increase this, for example, to 30. And over here I have maximum reviews per day. So currently I'm doing 150 maximum reviews per day. And a review is simply a card that you've already done before. And please don't think that it's 150 every day. It's simply the maximum amount of reviews that you do every day. So it can be 20 or 30. And of course, if I want to change this, I can do so as well. So I change it to 30 and 300. Now click on Save. And you can see the card numbers have increased. So the amount that I would do every day. I can decrease this as well. If I go to Options, and I can change new cards per day to 5, and I can change maximum reviews to 50. Save. And you can see the amount of new cards per day in reviews has decreased. Now, if I go to Options, I can go back to the original settings, which was 15 and 150. And this is also what I would recommend for most people. I think you will see a fair amount of new cards per day and have a fair amount of reviews, but it's not overwhelming. So you will learn a lot, but it's not too much. But of course, if you want to, you can increase this to a different number or decrease this as well. I recommend that you choose a number that you feel comfortable with and that you know that you will do every day. And a nice little trick you can use is that whatever number you have over here, for example, at 15, do it times 10 for maximum reviews. So 15, I do it times 10, it's 150. If I scroll down, I can see there's an area over here called FSRS. Now, what is this? This is a new type of algorithm. Anki has a default algorithm, but this one, FSRS, is a lot better. The algorithm essentially determines when you see which cards, and this algorithm, according to many studies, is a lot better at giving you the correct cards and the correct amounts as well, which will result in a better memorization in a more effective and efficient way. So I use it myself, and I recommend that you use it as well. So FSRS, it's on, and for desired retention, I have it at 90%. So one more time, new cards per day, 15, maximum reviews, 150, and FSRS, it's on, and desired retention is 90%. Click on Save. And that is what I wanted to show you for this video. I hope you enjoyed my explanation video for the Korean B2 vocabulary Anki deck. You can get the Anki deck at languageatlas.com. I repeat, at languageatlas.com. I will share all the links in the comment section and description, so you'll know where to get the deck and you'll know where to go if you want to have more information. So all the links will be there. And I would like to wish you the best of luck when it comes to learning the Korean language. And have a great day. Goodbye.